LaRussell, what's going on, bro? Welcome. I Never Knew TV.
Come on, I'm here.
We want to get right into it. So, and listen to what I'm saying before you answer. Seems you grew up privileged, right? And I say privileged not in the sense of finances, but privileged in the sense of growing up around an ambitious, strong black man, right? As you have gotten older, have you realized the impact of your father's example and the success you have experienced thus far in your life?
Definitely, definitely. In everything I do, in everything I do, I see that. But I don't only see it in like the success. I see it in the areas I fall short as well. You feel me? It's a full example. But yeah, I see it in everything I do.
Could you delve a little deeper in that? Because in a lot of tunes I've listened to, you spoke about resilience, and I found it. I don't know any other word to say but beautiful that you always speak about your father in a high reverence. So, what are some of those examples that he did set that kind of fueled your resilience in that grind?
Um, Being tenacious, being willing to get up 4 a.m., 5 a.m. on a Sunday and go hit that road to make it happen. Being able to come home from work, get off, take a quick hour nap, get back up, beat that road down to make it happen. Mental fortitude, discretion, there's been several times throughout my life he's pulled me to the side and, like foreshadowed without knowing, just kind of understanding what was at stake and what it looked like and what the terrain was, and then just having you remember in Hercules when he met Philoctetes, you feel me? And it's like I had one of those, he had a nigga who was who kind of did it in a way that didn't look how it's being done now, but enough to be able to provide the landscape to help me do it.
And did that help you when you first started getting bread? Because I know that, unfortunately, contrary to popular demand, your first rush of money or first encounter with success can be very detrimental. So, do you think that helped you have a better relationship with success initially?
Does what help me have a better relationship with success?
What you just spoke about, that game from your father.
No. No, because my success is something that he's never experienced in his lifetime. And same with me. I've never experienced it either, so it's not, no, not at all. This was new terrain for me.
It's one of your lines I'm paraphrasing, right? You spoke about the difficulty of trying to create a fan base through a screen, but I wanted to ask also the difficulty of trying to create a fan base through a screen while also being at the mercy of the algorithm.
You can't, every time you go outside to chase your dreams, you run the risk of you dying. And you just accept both that come with that if you want it, Like if you want it, you just got to embrace and accept everything that comes with wanting it.
But like, how has your strategy changed? Because it seems like the algorithm changes every couple months or every couple weeks, depending on what genre that you're in.
I don't follow the algorithm. I am the algorithm. So it doesn't really matter what changes in the system, because we determine what's like. If a nigga just want a Granny Smith apple, you could put every other apple in front of him and he's still gonna go find that Granny Smith. You feel me? So it's like it don't people are going to gravitate to the shit that they want, no matter how much is in there. There's thousands of products in the grocery store and we still only go pick out the 10 or 15 that we want.
Finding your niche audience, right? And it was your target audience, that is, and it's a unique approach because you basically just said you find people who's interested in what you're interested in.
Right.
right? So when did you come to that conclusion, and when did it really click in your brain like, yo, this is the strategy I should be using?
It didn't really become a strategy until, like you said, it was like recognizable. It was kind of just a life theory. You know, like I got there by just living, you know, and getting to the point where you're like, I'm just gonna do the shit that I think is cool. You feel me? Like it's ultimately not about anyone else. I do the shit that I think is cool. I used to love seeing dancers in music videos, so I do that shit. It's less about the consumer and more about me just doing shit that I really enjoy, and I know there'll be a consumer for that, whatever that may be.
And like, all right, so when you try to expand your audience, right, do you feel pressured, or has the idea passed your brain to do stuff that is not necessarily your particular style? Or are you content just staying with who rocks with you and your genuine self?
Yeah, I don't really make like grand attempts to expand my audience anymore. Like I'm more like expansion by membership. You know, like I'm more like I'ma serve the niggas who here, and the niggas who here gonna love it so much they gonna go tell the niggas over there, and then the niggas over there come here, versus me trying to like focus on the niggas over there who not already here.
Do you believe this generation collectively is really that depressed, or are artists just like jumping on this trend and selling trauma?
No, I don't think most of us are actually depressed, but I do think we're convincingly depressed. I think we just have a darker perspective on what's happening, and sometimes we can't just accept it for what it is and look at it positively. I think some people are really depressed, but I think that comes after consistently living in this, negative perspective, to where it just becomes your actual norm, But for the most part, like, no,
So,
no.
like, jumping back on what you just said, like, why is it like I taught for years in Philly, right? And I always had this theory that like this mental health thing is almost trendy in a sense, like it's almost cool to say you have a mental issue.
Yeah.
So why do you think that's the case?
Um, it's a crutch. It's a crutch, really, to not be accountable for your state. Like, it's really a crutch to be like, um, I'm refusing to do the work it takes. So this is why. You feel me? But yeah. I think it's like there's truth to it, because when you're in those states, you do feel like you're depressed, like you're emotionally under duress. So when you just get a bunch of people to agree to that situation and state, it's just kind of hard to get up out of there. But, it's definitely self-induced.
So like, all right, I just want you to elaborate more because I don't have a fortunate experience of speaking to many people your age, and I want you to speak on behalf. That's why I'm delving into it more, right? But I understand the crutch part, right? But like, why do you think accountability is such an issue with your generation? Like just accepting a certain situation and seeing the best way to navigate it instead of kind of using it as an excuse not to continue.
Um, I don't think it's such an issue for my generation. I think it's such an issue for several other. My generation was raised by your generation. You feel me? So it's like these are issues that are passed down generation to generation. Yeah, I don't know what it stemmed from, honestly. You know, like I think we're no longer getting the training to, I don't know if we ever were, you know, but I think we're no longer getting the training, the emotional training that we need as kids and humans growing up. We get a lot of like physical things, but we don't get the emotional training of like breathe, sit,
Different skill sets.
communicate, you know, like it's
Facts.
we're kind of like we kind of deny that, you know, especially if you're like growing up more survivalist than, you know, just living like you just, yeah, you don't get all of the training that you need, and then you become an adult you know, navigating all of these emotions that used to make you scream as a child. uh yeah, you know, we just don't have the training, that's all it is.
And what are some of the skills that you practice, the things you picked up to kind of maintain your mental health and keep things balanced?
Walking, biking, tennis, pickleball, making music, doing things I love to do. Really just doing things I love to do. That's really all it is.
A song called Social Media on
Yeah.
the Family Business album, right? Very short and powerful. And it kind of ties into this theory I have, right? I want to hear what you have to say about it. I believe modern day people love attention more than money. And I always tell people attention is the new currency, right? People like attention more than money. What are your thoughts about that?
ROI, man, you really, everything you invest in is going to yield a return. Attention is an investment. So, you know, now it's just like the return just don't be worth it to me at this point in life all the time. Some days I slip and it's like, I'll take that return, I'll take that loss in the account for a bit. But, you know, for the most part, it's just like, I don't even want to like I don't even want to deal with it, you know?
And if it's not too personal, what are some of the things you kind of eradicated that you don't give attention to anymore? If you're open to sharing, if it's not too personal.
Um, life. Life. Like, you gotta really let this shit flow. You gotta really let this shit flow. We get crazy to think you could be too invested in your life, but I just feel like, you know, you could be more invested in pieces of your life than necessary.
Facts.
Yeah, I think life is, I can't even really narrow it to one thing. It's like all of it I'm kind of becoming. There's no way to even describe it.
It sounds like what you're saying is that you're open to experiencing life to a certain extent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm open.
You find by doing that it's less stressful. The reason I asked that, Fire, because like I'm not sure if you went to like a therapist or something, but what you're explaining is something that most people experience when they actually work on themselves. And when you work on yourself, you do get to that point where you're open to life, but at the same time, when you're open to life, you see the things that are, I don't want to say they're pointless, but they're not beneficial.
Right.
'Cause I think people don't understand, like they don't pinpoint the things, as you stated earlier, that you ideate on, you give a lot of attention to, that's
Right.
not needed.
And that's the thing. It's like every move is getting you higher up or further down the mountain.
Facts.
You know, it's one or the other. There's no like, idling. Like if you're idling, you're going down. You know, so it's like it's really that, you know, when you can get to the point where it's like, this shit ain't gonna get me nowhere closer to the goal. You just kind of give less to it. You know, like when you make investments, you give the most money to the ones that's making you the most money.
Yeah.
Sometimes you drop investments because you're like, you know, it's like, I tried, it wasn't worth it, you know.
Yeah. What advice would you give to people who have the perspective you just gave is, hey, I tried this, it didn't work, I'm either going to try again or it's off to the next thing,
Yep.
compared to I tried this, it didn't work, and now it's the end of the world?
None. I would just continue to show.
Yeah.
You know, none. I think the best advice you can give sometimes is an example. And if you can't see me doing it and that be enough to make you believe you can do it, then there's just more you got to do, you know, within yourself. But I feel like you just keep showing someone. And some people, they see it once and they like, man, I'm done, I'm gone. Some people take 30s, and some people don't quit like their jobs until they're like 40, 50 and be like, I'm going to go live my life, you know? So it's like you don't get to really determine when they come. But, you know, now I think it's a lot less about what you say and a lot more about what you do.
Facts. I just want to talk about that time at with your areospace job, right? Because you were there for 6 years, from what I understand. What did you learn from that experience that you applied to what you're doing now?
I learned how to lead. I learned how to be a team player. I learned data. I learned how to read data, how to mine for data. I learned how to crunch numbers, how to figure out percentiles. I learned how to communicate. I remember early on there, I used to like seeing emails and like, you know, it was like, bruh, you got to do better. And then I remember one time I sent an email and I just really tried to lay everything out, and my supervisor came out and was like, that was incredible. And it was like, you know, so I learned everything I utilized to get to where I am today, you know.
What are your thoughts about artists who don't think they should be working while pursuing their craft?
Like working a job, you saying?
Yeah, so like I know this is an anti-job. I don't know if it's a pride thing, bro, because I know you was a man working under Toda at the time, from what I understand. I listened to some of those songs back then too, but you were performing and working and just doing your thing. So
yeah, I mean, back then that was my plight. That was why I had to like quit. But looking back, you know, I'm grateful for the time I spent, because my job really like funded a lot of what I was doing. Like, you just really have to look at your job as an investor. They're giving you the funds to go do what you want to do and build what you want to build.
no, facts. And I just think that it's like, as I said earlier, I don't know if it's a pride thing or what's going on, but people don't understand, especially in these times. That's like the main formula to get yourself started. There's
But
nothing
it's
wrong
like
with
they
working
just don't, no one has the blueprint, because no one's like really fully sharing it. And I feel like, you know, we were like that's how society was. It's like, man, quit your job, go after your dreams. You know, like that's the thing. Like that's everyone's saying, I'm quit my job and go after my dreams. And it's because of the perspective we have on like our jobs, you know.
How has experiencing the traditional American collective idea of success changed your perspective of success?
You don't know how shit tastes until you try it. And when you try it, it's either you love how it tastes, you hate how it tastes, or you like, I fuck with that, but just every now and then. You feel me? It ain't, you just don't know until you know.
But how has it changed? How has your perspective on success changed? I'll reword it. How has your perspective of success changed Say within like the last 5 years now.
What I need to do to consider myself successful is different now.
And please explain, how has it changed? What was the initial idea of success, and what do you consider success at this point?
I mean, the original idea was money, cars, clothes, hoes. And now it'd be a little of that, but you know, more Disneyland, infrastructure, wealth, generationally, you know, and then it'd be that shit at the bottom of it.
How is the average rapper making money when many people are buying streams and the live performance revenue isn't what it used to be?
I don't think the average rapper is surviving financially. The average rapper is probably still working a job and at their home and doing it in the basement and figuring it out. Yeah, on average, like most of the niggas you meet who rap aren't, you know, like they're not surviving off of it financially. So I think the average isn't. I think the people that are a tier after that, who's like not really made it, but able to quit their job, they're probably doing features, shows, and getting streaming. The guys that are a tier over that are like, yeah, I'll never have to go back to a job. I'm not in the cusp. I don't make the most in the world, but I wouldn't have to work. Or probably streams, shows, syncs, and merchandise. And then there's a few tiers in between this, but as you scale higher, there's endless amounts of ways for us to make money. Like a LaRussell has sync, licensing, brands, gold cards, stock, features, tour, shows, merch, promotions. The booking request sheet to do random shit is just it's like endless. Like it's endless. So there's endless way, and even like the live shit. How you said like live shows is like not what it was. It's like live shows is better than what it was today. It's far better. Like you no longer have to have the infrastructure you had to have back then. You could do a show every fucking weekend you want anywhere. Like we got the access and ability to do so much now. So everything's better. There's more opportunities to make money in music now than there has ever been.
Can you delve deeper into the shows, please? Because I hear a lot of different arguments, right? I hear some people say, it's not the same. Some people say, as you say, it's the best time ever. But could you break down more about the live shows in regards to the profits there and the possibilities?
I think if you have a great live show, you're never out of business. I could perform every day and people will show up and buy tickets and support and pull up, and I could sell merch while they're there, and every single day. That never goes away. I think it's only not what it's been for people who don't have a great live performance. It's like, of course it's not. No one wants to fucking come out and see you do karaoke. Not even karaoke. The fucking song is playing. You don't listen to those people about if live shows are going great or not. You go talk to Live Nation about if live shows are going great. It's like that shit. The people who have great live sets, they're never out of business, because we never like, say in the Bay Area, I have 10,000 people who want to see me live all year round, right? Yeah. If I just do 100 cap shows all year, how many shows can I do? that shit never stops. And every show your base grows. So by the end of the year, that 10,000 is now 50,000, and you're only doing 100 cap, 200 cap, 300 cap, 400 cap. That shit's always packed and sold out. There's always a chance for somebody to see you. It's 10,000 people there in that area. Live shows aren't out. Great live performers are out. That's the shit that died.
Some people have complained about the stronghold Live Nation has had on venues. What is your experience?
They the big boss. You can't be mad at them niggas that they got their money up and did their thing and went and bought everything that they thought was feasible so they could do the business they want to do. That's our goal. I'm gonna keep building venues until eventually I got 100 of them things, and it's like, okay, yeah, you want to use our shit, come holler at it. That's business. You can't. That shit started with a nigga who loved to throw live shows and events and built a whole empire around that shit. I don't agree with all the business they do in terms of monopolizing, but I also understand how this shit go. It's like Disney has a shit ton of land, like, nigga, that's what this shit is about. Building your portfolio, you feel me? And you have to find ways around it, just as I did myself. Build independent venues, go support the independent venues, go do your shit until you're at the level to where you're able to partner with them to do something in their venue. But, that's their house that they built. You can't be mad at at a nigga house rules. It's like, go build your own house and set your own rules.
First question I have, especially with E40, were you guys in the studio together when you recorded it?
We were in the studio together when we made Water, but we weren't in the studio for Grind In or Sprinkle Me.
And being around a legend of that magnitude in numerous aspects, not just as a musician, as an entrepreneur, and just as an OG.
You heard?
I'm pretty sure you got some game, right? So is there anything you're willing to share or lessons that you learned from being around him, whether he told you this directly or you learned indirectly from just observing the way that he moved and conducted business?
Yeah. Water is the sensei. And the fact that he was making records before I was born, and I could sit in a chair next to him today and he's still writing records with me 20 years, 30 years later, is all the lesson I need. It's like, bro, he never stopped planting and watering seeds. And he embraced the youth and what's coming next by having me, and he embraced what's before him. And man, his life is it's a blueprint. It's a display of how to get it done.
And how humbling was that experience for you to be around someone of that magnitude that's from your area?
It wasn't humbling. It was exciting. It just make me like, nigga, I'm finna go in. It's not really a humbling moment for me, but it's like, I'm finna get me one. I'm finna put me one of them things on the hill.
And shout out to E40 also, because I noticed there's certain what we refer to as elders and legends that embrace the youth, and there's those that don't embrace the youth. But I noticed, I don't know what's the criteria for do what's what, but respect to those who really embrace the youth or open to the youth.
Yeah.
And show them that support and show them
You know what's
that
crazy though? I think they all embrace the youth. They don't embrace all youth, but they all embrace the youth. Niggas love me. They just not trying to hear that. You feel me? Like, they not trying to hear that shit. But the niggas who they love, they embrace. I get embraced by all of them.
Yeah. Why do you think that's the case?
'Cause it's authentic and it feels like something that they're familiar with.
Have you gotten to the point where you've been able to reflect to say, "Oh, I'm a man that really love making music, and I get to feed myself and take care of my family making music"?
Yeah, that is my that's like my golden gem. Like, that's the one thing that's generally finite. It doesn't really shake. I never really hate the music. Like, I love to make music. You feel me? Everything else moves when an earthquake hit, but that stays still. That's a deep tree.
So what are some of the obviously we have the music part, but what are some of the things that come with making the music for a livelihood that you really dislike?
That I dislike about making the music.
No, no, no. That comes with the other things that come with you making the music that you have to do that you dislike.
Um, I don't dislike none of it.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it all.
Where is the resilience coming from?
I think that's the love for it. You know, when you love something, you'll endure a lot of abuse. You can beat the shit out of your dog and it'll keep coming back. You
Yeah.
know, like it's just I love it, and it don't matter. Download the other day was I'm willing to lose whatever I have to lose in order to gain what I wish to gain.
Say that again for people for people tuned in.
I'm willing to lose whatever it is I have to lose in order to gain what I wish to gain.
And how do you keep the same energy and keep the same input when things aren't going the way you want things to go? So how do you keep that consistent work ethic when things aren't going well?
By remembering that things aren't going well. Things are just going.
Can you just elaborate a little more on that one for me, please? It's philosopher mode. We're doing one line here.
Life isn't happening to you. Life is just happening.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that.
When did you start to observe the realities of the system, right? And when did you think, or when did you get to the point to say, man, I want to speak about it publicly and actually record my feelings on these issues?
That wasn't a thought that crossed my mind. It
Yeah.
just happened. That wasn't like intentional. It just was happening. Like in life, I was just seeing a lot and hearing a lot and researching a lot, and it was just in my psyche. You know, it wasn't like I'm going to go public with this. It was just life kind of happening.
And when you were acquiring this information, man, were you like talking to old heads? Were you reading? Were you listening to speeches? Where was this information coming from?
Some of it was outside. Some of it will come from old heads. Some of it YouTube. You know,
Yeah.
like just being a young nigga on YouTube and researching. Yeah.
Were there any particular people you remember, or particular
Books.
like
You said what?
speeches? Were there any particular speeches or any particular speakers that kind of really exposed you to information?
I used to watch. You familiar with what was it, Phil Donahue?
Yeah, with Khalid Muhammad and
so,
Farrakhan
you know, he
and
used
all
to have
those?
Farrakhan in it. Yeah, I used to watch hell of that shit. Kwame Ture. I used to just be on I used to just consume a lot of black thought leaders, and yeah.
Was there? Well, that's beyond a classic show with the Farrakhan and Phil Donahue. Do you remember? Was there anything about that conversation that really like sparked your brain to say, "Yo, this thing makes sense"?
I remember. I remember on Farrakhan episode, the white lady was like, "We're scared. You guys are this and you guys are that, and we're scared every time you guys are talking about white people." And he was just like, "Ma'am, we have done none of that. Your fear is that we will do unto you what you've done to us, but we have no interest." And it was like, you know, like just hearing him speak and answer to people, and like I just learned. I learned a lot. And then, you know, after that I got kind of heavy into Sad Guru, and I got to hear him speak. and elaborate, and just you learn information. Then you start reading books, and it just pour. I started reading a lot of books from like Indian mystics, Swami and Sadhguru, and what's bro
And
name who wrote Four Agreements too, the Aztec guy. But like I just started reading a lot more too, and James Baldwin books and shit, just kind of dump in.
I'm glad you said that because I could hear it in the music. I just didn't know the origins of it, right? Now you clarify it for me, especially the mysticism thing. That's why I said earlier, you sound like a man that's been working on himself. And when you get into the mysticism, you really get a deeper understanding of life. So you're either going to make the decision and change, or you're just going to be a knowledgeable person and stay the same.
Right.
For real,
On God. Did you hear him?
But that's why I asked earlier, because like especially how you reflect on life in the music. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Really shows a person that's been exposed to a certain understanding of life. And it could come two ways. It could come through studying, but also it could come through living. And what I hear in the music is that you have the balance and you observe yourself.
Both.
And you observe your actions,
Both. Yeah. Necessary. And I think that's what's given me the ability to communicate at this level, to where like I feel like, if you come to a show, you'll see the demographic is from like 5 to 65 because everyone can understand it.
And I know you're busy now, right? I know you're super busy, but is there anything you've been reading or any videos you've been watching that been in that same lane?
The last book I read that had me like really kind of inspired was Rick Rubin's The Creative Act. Yeah. But yeah, I don't I dabble more now than I used to. So I really need to get back in.
And facts. And I just want to jump back on this Farrakhan thing to see if you observed this. I've interviewed Nuri Muhammad and Rizza, but Nuri Muhammad was telling me about his conversation with Farrakhan about that experience, right? And I was telling him I was so impressed on his breath control. Mm-hmm. He almost has like the breath control of an artist and staying posed when he's listening. And you notice he always takes a deep breath. He'll smile, then he'll answer. So he's never caught up in the emotions. I always thought that was so brilliant, that control itself, and the breath.
Yes, and Sadhguru does the same. Yeah. And it's funny you said that, because I didn't notice it with Farrakhan, but I experienced it. But with Sadhguru, I noticed it. It was like, wow, I could, But yeah, that I think that's something too that you can only it only comes through wisdom.
Who have you observed and adopted parts of their live performance and added to your live performance?
All of the greats. I used to go on YouTube and just type in like live performance with different artists, just to like, that's actually what made me start filming all of mine and putting it on YouTube, because when I used to go look, none of the live performance videos were from the actual artists. It was always just fans and different people, and it was millions of views, and I was like, I need to have my own shit. But I studied all the greats. I used to like watch videos of festivals and old ones and see how DMX and Pac and Hov and Ye and even like different singers, and it just everybody who was great at it.
And when you go on tour, right, with T-Pain in Canada, how many live instruments do you plan on implementing in the set?
I'm just taking my piano and violinist on this run, but sometimes I have piano, violin, sax, flute. I done had a harp.
You said a harp.
Guitar. Like, man, we hand drumming on the table. We get busy.
Yeah. That's a vibe, man. Well, LaRussell, I'm appreciative of work that you've done, you know what I'm saying, and continue to do your thing and be an inspiration to others. Appreciate the time, appreciate the conversation, you know?
Gratitude, brother.